Hello everybody, this is Derek Favreau on behalf of DNA Mobile Fitness. I am doing a video this month as part of DNA's Fitness Break, a monthly service that I provide for clients and others in my network. And I thought it'd be fitting at this time of year to do a talk on New Year's resolutions. Now that we're into late February, 2 months in to the new year. This is often when a lot of New Year's resolutions are busting. And I just wanted to have the conversation because being in the fitness industry now for over 20 years, I've seen a lot of different takes on New Year's resolutions and have a few thoughts myself. I'm not in the camp that New Year's resolutions are a complete waste of time or energy. I think that's too generalized, but I'm also not in the camp that New Year's resolutions are the most effective way to change behavior. And I have a few thoughts behind that I'm going to share in this video, and also try to give you guys some practical application to take with you to design or maybe restart your current resolutions if they involve anything in the fitness category. In a maybe more specific or targeted way. So the first question is, are they effective? And some research tells us that they're not. On their face, 80% of all resolutions fail. That's according to research from about 30 years ago. But there's been some follow-up research that has indicated that up to 40% roughly of resolutions are effective. So that equals 60% at best will fail. So what does that leave us to say? And as I said, it really doesn't mean that to me that they're a waste of time. It's just that the perspective or the grading system often is flawed. And what I mean by that is when we talk about resolutions, we're often talking about something definitive, something absolute. Working out 4 days or 5 days a week, or eating, a certain diet, a Whole30 for X amount of days. And if we fall off of that, in other words, if we don't achieve that, the thought process is that we failed the resolution, and therefore it stops. I would submit that behavior change is best when it's done in a linear continuum, meaning it's more of an intentional effort as a targeted approach. And what that means is we focus more on the target and the intention versus the hard set outcome. Another way to say it would be on the progress versus the perfection. If we're able to highlight and celebrate the progress and not fall down and be discouraged when we don't achieve that goal or that lifestyle marker, then it's okay. Let's just get back up and let's continue moving on. A good example would be, like I said, a 4-day workout week goal, and you get 3 on one particular week. It doesn't mean you've busted your resolution. It just means that you've fallen a little bit short. We want to fall forward. And for the most part, we understand that habits take time to build and form. We know that 21-day fix, and there's some other things out there. 21 days is kind of the beginning of habit forming, according to a lot of the research. It really, some of the more in-depth research speaks to about 65, 66 days before we're able to really have the foundation being set, the cement drying, so to speak, on a particular habit. So when we look at it that way, again, we want to be looking at it in a longer term approach, but also we want to be looking at it in something to where we are moving forward along and not having an absolute before we really start to determine if it's successful or not. Another thing so it's a mindset, that's what I'm speaking to right now, is a mentality. So that's part number one. And then the other part is what starting point are we at? When we start out on something, we want to look at our current situation. Is work in a good place? Is our family life, stable? Do we have any health concerns, that would prevent us from giving our full attention to a particular behavior change? And obviously, this goes out on the scope beyond health and fitness to a variety of other things when we're trying to improve our lifestyle or create space for new habits and behaviors. But it takes that intentionality, as I pointed out, but also takes that assessment and looking at when's the right time, so that we can kind of clear the runway, as I like to call it, for a successful launch. And the other piece there that is often overlooked is, what are we carrying with us? What disappointments or perceived defeats that we are looking at, where we've tried before. Maybe we've tried the 21-day fix, 4 times, and now we're on the 5th time, and we always make it to day 11 or 12, and then we miss a workout day, and it's a bust. Like I said, not necessarily the case, but we need to also look at letting go of what we're carrying with us. And I've heard that analogy as a backpack. So we need to empty our backpack of past failures and disappointments and really get the mindset of starting fresh. And starting fresh is something that psychologically it has a lot of value. That's why the new year, oftentimes, turning the calendar over, gives us a sense of a new self. And that is key. That should not be overstated. Or it can't be overstated enough, that the value of having that fresh start, a milestone, a birthday, some sort of event coming up where you're targeting something and you're setting a definitive start date. Even in other, aspects of life, when you talk about faith and religion, the Christian religion is based on a fresh start. When folks come to faith, they're putting away their old self and they're stepping into their new self that God has made them to be, and that brings forth a whole host of new behaviors that often take place in a step-by-step process. And that's what I'm trying to get across here as well, in terms of taking care of our body in a physical health and fitness and wellness standpoint. It's important to look at it in a progressive way, but to set that definitive starting point, let go of the things that we have weighing us down, so that it doesn't become this idea that, oh, well, I'm just going to get to a certain point and then it's going to be a bust again. And that's the joke in the gym business. Having been in that environment for a lot of years, it was, wait till we get to March and then all the resolutioners have cleared out and there's more space again for the regulars, and that's kind of a joke, but there's some truth to it, of course. But, where I'm coming from with this message is, don't be that's 60 or 80% or whatever it is that aren't there in March. Be the ones the 20 or 40% that make it, and it's through some of the things that I'm presenting here, and I have a few others, and then I'll wrap this thing up. So this is courtesy of Precision Nutrition, which is an organization I'm connected to, and they do great nutritional coaching support, along with general wellness and health tips. And they have 5 tips or ways to turn resolutions into reality, as I'm calling it. And so the first one I outlined. The second is the fresh start method. The second one is to set up an initial time increment. And so I mentioned about 65 to 66 days is a habit forming. Well, that's a lot of time. That can be overwhelming. That's why some of those shorter ones, 21 day, 30 day, are more popular, because it gives us that smaller window. So breaking it down into an increment that's more doable, and then progressing from there. So I would suggest something around 15 to 30 days initially, and then move on in increments from there, checking them off, but not using misses to derail or to stop, but just as where to improve and continue on. So don't use it as disqualifying. In other words, just look at how you're doing and continue to break down how you're doing in each chunk of time towards the overall goal of consistency or whatever behavior you're trying to zero in on. And then number 3, so we've got fresh start method, we've got set, small increments, and then 3 is look back before looking forward. I kind of outlined some of that in the fresh start, so not need to expand much there. It's just important to look at where the obstacles are and where the potential, sticking points would be, and try to deal with them up front and unload the baggage, and then get onto the starting line. And so number 4, change your environment. This is something also intuitive to a lot of folks, but worth, I think, mentioning is changing something. Sometimes it's getting some new workout clothes, or for the fitness side of it. For the nutritional side of it, might be clean out your kitchen, get rid of a lot of the sugary, refined carb products, in your home, and do a purge of sorts, and really start afresh. And that can be really helpful for the mental side of kind of psyching yourself up that, hey, I'm ready to do this. I've gotten rid of some of the obstacles. I've changed my environment, and we're going to do it. On the fitness side, again, hire a trainer, get a workout buddy, sign up for some classes, et cetera, that changes things, and it increases the level of commitment, which oftentimes breeds better results and like I said, accountability. And then that's number 4. And then lastly is choose a guiding word. I do this personally, and this is pretty popular, not new information to a lot of you, but there's a lot of research again, and that supports picking one word for a year or for a season. It doesn't have to be for a full year, but for a particular season or a project, and have that be what you fall back to when there's the moments where we need some encouragement or some reminders. More importantly, right, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. I don't have to sit here and tell you how beneficial it is to be healthy and to invest time in our health and wellness, but staying the course and carrying those things out with the other pressures of life, oftentimes ourselves, myself included, we get pushed down the priority list, and it becomes detrimental for our personal well-being. And this is a tactic that you can employ to remind yourself of why you're doing it. And so I would offer that as something to ponder. I'll share one last thing on my personal side of things for this year. My word is stretch, and stretch for me means a couple of things. Personally, my personal fitness program, probably my biggest deficiency as in my personal fitness is my flexibility. And so I'm working through taking yoga classes and trying to work that into my regimen each week to improve that physical flexibility. And I've been seeing benefits, but it's a good reminder for me to continue to stretch. Some of my old buddies, we joke around about being the Tin Man and so forth. So I don't want to be the Tin Man anymore. I'm looking for something new, right? I'm trying to let that go. So back to the other discussion, but it's just beneficial on a whole bunch of levels. And then secondly, stretching as a family. And so some of the things that are going on in my family life at this particular stage is causing some stretch, and it's good stretch. But it's stretched nonetheless, and so it's a reminder for me that that's where we are in the season that we're walking through, and so that's just a little behind the scenes from me. But what about you? What are you going through, and where can a word, if you haven't already picked one, benefit you as you look at implementing goals that we could call resolutions, but ultimately it's about setting goals and objectives that are doable, realistic, right, and sustainable. And so I hope some of the things that I outlined here about New Year's resolutions, now that we're getting ready to move into March, that maybe you can either continue going great with, or restart where you left off somewhere in January or February to this point, or perhaps you haven't gotten one yet, and this has motivated you to to get going in March on a resolution objective for this year. So with that, I'll sign off and say thank you for your kind attention, and I hope that was beneficial to you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Stay fit, folks. Take care. Blessings. Bye.